Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
Hello all, this is Dr. R.M. Gomathi, Associate Professor, Department of CSE, School of Computing, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, deemed to be University, Chennai. So in this video session, we are going to talk about PHP, Hypertext PreProcessor. Here is the outline of this video: scripting languages versus programming languages, introduction to scripting languages, applications of scripting languages, introduction to PHP, client-server communication via PHP, why PHP, what are the markup tags we have in PHP, then followed by form handling with PHP. So let us start with the difference between programming languages and scripting languages. Programming languages, we have set of instructions which take set of inputs and provide various kinds of outputs. These programming languages are used to create software programs or computer programs. They tell the computer what to do. These programming languages come in various forms like high-level languages and low-level languages. High-level languages like C, C++, Python and so on. Low-level languages like assembly language, machine code and so on. Now what are these high-level languages and low-level languages? High-level languages are the programming languages which need to be translated into machine code, or we can say high-level languages are the programming languages which can be easily understood by the human. The human can easily read and write the programming languages or high-level programming languages. So examples of high-level programming languages are C, C++, Python, Java and so on. Whereas low-level languages are much closer to machine's instructions. They need or they require easy understanding of the hardware. So examples of high-level languages are assembly language and machine code, as we already discussed. Now what about scripting languages? Scripting languages are interpreted programming languages. They don't require compilation, instead they need to be interpreted. Or we could say scripting languages require other programming languages for them to be executed. So scripting languages are primary focuses on building application. We could not say it is primary focus on building application. We could say it primary focuses mainly on how to add behaviors or additional functionalities to the existing system or existing applications. So scripting languages are used for customizing the task, manipulating and automating the facilities of existing applications. What are the examples of scripting languages? Javascript, Perl, VBScript and so on. So let us move on to introduction to scripting languages. So as I said already, all the scripting languages are programming languages which are basically instructions are written for a runtime environment. We could say they have to be interpreted, or we could say scripting languages are the programming languages which require other programming languages for them to be executed, which we call it as interpreted. So they don't require the compilation step, instead they require interpreted. It brings new functions to the applications and glue complex system together. So scripting languages are mainly designed for integrating and communicating to work with other programming languages. So examples of scripting languages, as we already discussed, Python, Perl, Node.js and Ruby. Now what are the applications of these scripting languages? These scripting languages are mainly used for creating web applications. We could say we can create a dynamic and interactive websites can be created by using these scripting languages. And they are of two categories. Scripting languages will be either client-side scripting language or server-side scripting language. Now what are the difference between these two? Client-side scripting languages are the languages which sits at the client side, or we could say the web browsers are used for running those client-side scripting languages, whereas server-side scripting languages are residing at the server side and fetches the content, dynamic content upon the request from the client. So examples of server-side scripting languages are PHP, JavaScript, Perl and so on. Client-side scripting languages examples are JavaScript, Ajax, jQuery, etc. So these scripting languages are used in system administration. So what are the scripting languages which are used exclusively for system administration? Shell, Perl, Python and etc. These scripting languages are also used for gaming applications and multimedia applications, and they are also used for creating plugins and extensions for the existing applications. Now let us get into the topic of PHP Introduction to Hypertext PreProcessor. So PHP is an acronym for Hypertext PreProcessor. It is a server-side scripting language. So these PHP scripts need to be embedded inside a HTML document. And it is used for managing the dynamic content, databases, session tracking, even build entire e-commerce websites can be built. PHP is a server-side scripting language, powerful tool for making the interactive dynamic web pages, and it is easily integrated with number of popular databases like Oracle, Sybase, MySQL and so on. PHP follows CLEX syntax. PHP scripts are executed at the server side, that is why it is called a server-side scripting languages, and PHP is open source, it is free to download and use. Now what these PHP scripting language can do? PHP can generate the dynamic web page. PHP can create or open, read, write files which are located on the server side. PHP can collect the form data. PHP can send and receive the cookies and sessions. PHP can add, delete, modify the data on your database which is located at the server side. And PHP can also be used for providing the user access control. PHP can encrypt the data and much more can be done by PHP. Now let us move on to client-server communication via PHP, how the client requests to the server and how the server responds back to the client via the PHP. So we have a client machine here over here and we have web server. The client browser, web browser which is located at the client side, your host machine. If suppose you request a URL like say for example www.massey.az.ns, so this is the requested URL which is being initiated at the browser on your client side. So upon receiving this request, this will be communicated to the server side via the internet. Then server side, on the server side we have our PHP scripts which is running. So upon receiving this URL request from the client, the PHP will be fetching the content over the internet and sends the data, requested data, or the web page which is requested by the client will be sent back via the internet and reaches the client. So what the server does, this slide shows the response, how the server reacts upon receiving the request from the client. So we have the client, the server which has a PHP, MySQL and a database located at the server side. So it fetches the dynamic content from the internet and then fetches content and it sends to the client via the internet. So this is how the client and server communicates via the PHP scripts. So why PHP? PHP basically used for fetching the dynamic content over the internet from the server side, and PHP runs on the various operating system platforms like Unix, Linux, Windows, Mac OS and so on. PHP is easily compatible to work with all sorts of servers like Apache server, IIS server. IIS server is nothing but Internet Information Server. It is basically created by Microsoft, which is used for Windows. PHP supports a wide range of databases as we already discussed in the previous slide. PHP is open source, it is freely available to download and use in the website www.php.net. PHP is easy to learn and runs efficiently on the server side. So let us move on to what are the markup tags we use for creating the PHP script. So all these PHP code need to be embedded inside any one of these special markup tags. So these are the three different ways we can put our script, PHP script inside our HTML document. So first one is angular bracket followed by question mark, then PHP followed by PHP code, and then you have to end this tag with question mark again with close angular bracket. The second way is angular bracket question mark followed by PHP code, then you need to end this markup tag with again question mark followed by angular bracket. So the last way is using the script tag. So script followed by the parameter language is equal to PHP. So we have various different scripting languages like JavaScript, PHP, Perl, Python. So what is the scripting language that you are going to use in your code, that need to be mentioned over here. And then you write all your code, PHP code here, then followed by you have to end the PHP script with /end tag /script. So among the three ways of adding the markup tags PHP script, the most commonly used one is the first one, that is question mark PHP, then write your PHP code, you have to end it with question mark and angular bracket. here is a simple program using PHP, Hello World script in PHP. So as we already discussed, all the scripting languages require another programming languages in order to execute them. So likewise PHP requires HTML document. So you embed your PHP script inside your HTML document. So here is your HTML code. As we already, we must have learnt the HTML code, HTML head and title, then under that you have body of your HTML document. Inside the body of your HTML document, we need to put our PHP script. So the most commonly used markup tab is question mark PHP, then you write the script here, followed by you have to end it with question mark and angular bracket. So echo is a statement in PHP which is used for displaying or printing something on your web page. So either we can use echo or print. So echo followed by the double quote, whatever you write inside the double quote, that will be displayed on your web page. So here is a simple PHP program. Okay, so this part shows your PHP which is embedded inside your HTML document. So when you run this code, you will be able to see the content on your web page as hello world. So your web page just displays a content saying hello world. This will be the last topic of this session. So form handling with PHP. Okay, so how do you create a HTML form, and when the user input the data in the form, how the PHP script is able to handle the data, right, which is being inputted in the HTML form. So HTML form is used basically for collecting the user inputs on the web page. The user input is most often sent to a server for processing. So what are we going to do here is we will be dealing with two different files here. One is our HTML file, other one is PHP file. So in HTML file we create a HTML form which is used for collecting the inputs data from the web users, and we have another file called PHP file. This PHP file will be collecting the user input, okay, and this PHP script will be sending the user input data to the server side. So what are the variables, okay, what are the things that you require at the PHP side for collecting the user data, that is fetching the user data from the client. So the super globals in PHP which is used for fetching the content is $_get and $_post. So they are called as super global variables in PHP. They are basically associative arrays. They are used for getting the data which is being inputted at the client side in your form. So here is a HTML code which shows how to create a simple form. Okay, this form has only two fields, name and email field, right? And in addition to these two fields, we have a submit button. So there are two text boxes for collecting the inputs like name and email from the user, and then we have a submit button after entering the data by the user. The user will be clicking on the submit button. So how to create this simple HTML form? So here is the code, HTML, head and title, then followed by body. So inside the body, we are creating the form using the form tag. So form tag, basically there are two significant attributes of the form tag, or action attribute and method attribute. So action attribute basically tells that what is the name of the PHP file, right, which is going to process your form data. Okay. So as already said, there will be two files, one is your HTML file, another one is PHP file. So this name of the PHP file need to be written over here. Okay. So this is the PHP script or PHP file which is going to process your form data. And what is the other attribute which we use in form tag? Method attribute. So method attribute basically takes any one of the two possible values. It can be either get or post. So next we are trying to create two fields, okay, name input field and email input field using the input tag. So input tag followed by type as text. So type as text will be used for creating a text box in your form. Then followed by name. So you are providing some name for the first text box, whereas the name will be name itself. And the second input field, email, input type as text. So second field is also a text box whose name will be email. So these name attributes, you have to remember here the values of these name attribute, because they are the one we are going to use in our PHP file, that is welcome.php. So the two input text boxes we have created. After that we are creating a submit button. How to create a submit button? Input type as submit, that is type is equal to submit. This will be used for creating a submit button in your HTML form. Then you have to close the entire HTML form with end tag slash form followed by body and HTML. So this is your typical HTML program. This HTML program doesn't have any PHP script in it, okay. It is simply used for creating a simple form which has only 2 input fields and submit button. So what the user has to do once you execute this HTML code, right, the user will be, you will be able to see a web page with these input fields on your web page. The user will be entering their name and email address, and then the user will be clicking on the submit button. So what happens when the user clicks on the submit button? The data entered by the user will be sent to the server side, that is, will be sent to a file which is located at the server, okay. So that file is called your PHP file, okay. So that is what we have mentioned here, welcome.php. So I want my data, name and email to be sent to the server, okay. That is to my PHP file called welcome.php. So let us move on to the next code. What is our next code? PHP code, right. So what we discussed in the previous slide is a HTML file, right, and now what we are going to discuss now in this slide is a PHP file, that is welcome.php. This is the server file which is going to retrieve or collect the data which has been entered. So what are the data which I entered in my HTML form? The name and email address. So these data need to be retrieved by the PHP script and it will be sent to the server for processing. So as we already discussed, our PHP script is also need to be embedded inside your HTML document. So here is your HTML document. Inside that we write our PHP script. How? Using the markup tag which we discussed earlier, $PHP. Then you write all the scripts tag here, and then you need to end it with question mark followed by angular bracket. Right. So what is statement we use here? Echo. Echo statement now already discussed. Echo statement is used for printing something on your web page. Right. Either we can use echo or we can go for print statement. So $echo space $_post of name. So $_post or $_get are the super global variables which are used for fetching the form data. Right. So $_post of name. What is this name here? This is nothing but the name attribute of your first text box. So $_post of name fetches the name which has been entered in the first text box and it displays by using the echo statement on your web page. Whereas second line, right, $PHP echo $_post of email. So this $_post of email is the name attribute of your second text box which we discussed in the previous slide. So this portion will fetches the email address which has been entered by the user in the HTML form and echo displays on your web page. So basically these two statements, $_post of name, $_post of email are used for retrieving the data entered in the two text boxes and display them via the echo statement. So welcome.php collects the data and send to the server for processing. So what will be the result? So when you execute your HTML code, the form will be displayed. The user is supposed to enter his name and email address, then click on the submit button. Once you click on the submit button, his name and email address will be sent to the PHP file on the server side, right. The server will be processing this data and it displays the output like this. Welcome John, your email address is john.@example.com. So these are the two data which has been inputted on your HTML form. So this is all about form handling with PHP. Thank you.